He smirked and said, I have feelings for her. I deserve to be happy. I just stood there quietly as he abandoned me and our newborn son. He thought he left me with nothing. He didn't know my name was the only one on the deed to the house. I'm not even sure where to begin. My husband and I have been married for 5 years. We were happy. At least, I thought we were. The kind of happy where you finish each other's sentences and still text each other stupid jokes during the day. Having a baby was something we both wanted. Desperately. We planned for it. Tracking cycles. Talking about names. The whole 9 yards. When I finally saw those 2 pink lines. He picked me up and spun me around the kitchen. That moment feels like a lifetime ago now. The shift was slow at first. Almost unnoticeable. It started around the 2nd trimester. He'd come home from work. And the energy was just off. He'd give one-word answers about his day. Then immediately turn on the TV or glue himself to his phone. It tried to start a conversation about the nursery colors. About something funny that happened at my doctor's appointment and had just nod along with a distracted moo. My first thought was, okay. He's stressed about becoming a dad. It's a huge change. I need to give him space. Then came the intimacy. Or the lack of it. It vanished completely. One night. I tried to cuddle up to him in bed. And he flinched. Then rolled over. Saying he was exhausted. I tried not to take it personally. My body is changing so much. I told myself. Maybe he's just not comfortable with it. But it kept happening. Excuses about work. Being tired. Having a headache. It got to the point where I just stopped trying. Because the quiet rejection was more painful than the loneliness. A glass wall had descended between us in our own bed. And I had no idea how it got there. His free time became his escape route. Saturday mornings. Which used to be our time for brunch or running errands. Became his permanent tea time with his golf buddies. Weeknights. It was always, just gonna grab a quick beer with my brother. But had come home hours later. Long after it'd fallen asleep. My internal debate was constant. Should I say something? Should I demand he stay home more? But then I'd picture the fight that would follow, him calling me needy. Me crying from the hormones, and I'd chicken out. I decided to wait. I kept telling myself. Once the baby is here. It'll all go back to normal. He'll see our son and remember what we're building. But our son's birth didn't fix anything. It made it worse. In the hospital. While I was recovering and learning to breastfeed. He was mostly on his phone. Updating the family. When we brought our beautiful baby boy home. The distance became a chasm. He'd hold him like he was a fragile, ticking bomb. And hand him back to me at the first whimper. He used the chaos of a newborn as another excuse to be absent. The baby's crying is giving me a headache. I'm just gonna go for a drive. He'd say. He was a ghost in the house we were supposed to be turning into a family home. I'm sitting here now at 3 a.m. with our son asleep on my chest. And I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm a new mom. I should be focused on that. But all I can think is what is wrong with my marriage. Is this just what happens when a baby comes along? Did anyone else's husband just completely check out like this? The breaking point came on a Tuesday night. Our son was about 3 months old. And had been colicky all day. I'd spent the last 6 hours bouncing him. Rocking him. Walking him around our tiny living room. My back screaming in protest. I hadn't showered. And I think I'd eaten a handful of crackers for dinner. My husband walked in the door at 8 p.m. Saw me looking like a wreck. And didn't even ask how I was. He just dropped his keys on the counter and said, I'm gonna go hit the gym for a bit. Need to clear my head. Something inside me just snapped. All the excuses I had made for him. All the patient waiting for things to get better. It all evaporated. The baby had finally fallen into a deep sleep in his bassinet. The house was quiet. I walked over and stood between him and the door. No. I said. My voice was low. But it didn't shake. You're not going anywhere. We're going to talk. Right now. He seemed surprised. Maybe even a little annoyed. What's there to talk about? I'm just going to work out. What is going on with you? I asked. My voice getting a little louder. With us. You haven't touched me in months. You're never home. You look at me like I'm a stranger. I just had our baby. The baby we planned. And I feel completely and utterly alone. He just stared at me. His face a total blank. There was no anger. No sadness. No defensiveness. Nothing. My brain tried to process what was happening. He's going to say he's depressed, I thought. Or overwhelmed. We can work with that. We can get him help. I was bracing myself for a problem we could solve together. Instead, he took a breath and said the words that blew my world apart. I'm having an affair. With an ex. The sound in the room seemed to die. I could only hear a ringing in my ears. For a second, I thought I must have misheard him. The sentence didn't make sense. What? I whispered. He wouldn't even look me in the eye. He was focused on a spot on the wall over my shoulder. I've been seeing her for a few months. My mind raced, trying to find a path forward. The immediate, instinctual response kicked in. Okay, I said, my hands trembling. Okay, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We have a son. We can work through this. He finally looked at me, and his eyes were cold. No, I don't want to go to counseling. And I'm not going to apologize. The finality of his tone was like a slap. My desperate attempt to find a solution had been shut down before it even started. Why? Was all I could manage to get out. Because I have feelings for her, he said, as if it were the most reasonable explanation in the world. He then delivered the final, fatal blow. And I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be happy. The words just hung there in the air between us. My mind couldn't grasp it. He was looking at me, the mother of his newborn child, his wife of 5 years, and telling me that his happiness with another woman was more important than our entire life together. It wasn't a confession of a mistake. It was a justification for his betrayal. He felt entitled to it. How do you even respond to that? He says he deserves to be happy. But what about me? What about our son? Doesn't he deserve a father? Doesn't he deserve a home with both his parents? It's like our family was just an obstacle in the way of what he wanted. After he said those words, I deserve to be happy. There was nothing left to say. There was no argument to be made. He had passed a verdict on our marriage. And I wasn't part of the jury. I just stood there, completely numb, and watched him walk into our bedroom. I heard the closet door slide open. He wasn't yelling, wasn't throwing things. He was just packing. He emerged a few minutes later with a duffel bag. The one he uses for weekend trips. Head packed with the detached efficiency of someone leaving for a business conference. He didn't look at me or our sleeping son as he walked to the door. He just paused, his hand on the knob, and said, I'll have my brother come by for the rest of my stuff later this week. Then he was gone. The door clicked shut, and the deadbolt turned. The silence he left behind was deafening. It was heavier and more absolute than any quiet I've ever known. The only sound was the soft, rhythmic breathing of our son in his bassinet. I walked through the house in a daze. His coffee mug was still on the counter from this morning. His work shoes were kicked off by the door. It was like he was just a ghost who had forgotten a few of his belongings on the way to the afterlife. My brain couldn't reconcile the two images: the man who left that mug there this morning, and the cold stranger who just abandoned his family. My eyes landed on a picture of us on the fridge, taken a little over a year ago on vacation. We were tanned, laughing, his arm wrapped tightly around me. We looked so happy because we were happy. I remember that day. We talked about how we couldn't wait to bring our future kids to this exact spot. It was all real to me. Now, I have to ask myself, was any of it real for him? The whole foundation of our life, of my last 5 years, has crumbled into dust. It feels like I was the only one living in our marriage. I sank onto the couch, the weight of it all finally hitting me. He's gone. He left me. He left our 3-month-old baby. And the most gut-wrenching part of this whole nightmare is that he did it so easily. There was no agonizing decision. No tears. No regret. It was a simple transaction. He traded us in for a chance at his own happiness. I looked down at our son, his tiny chest rising and falling. He's so perfect. He's half me and half a man I don't even know anymore. My husband helped create this incredible little person. And then he just walked away without a second glance. The realization settled in my stomach like a cold, heavy stone. He doesn't care. He truly does not care that our baby will grow up without his father in the house. He doesn't care that he shattered our home. He broke my heart. And he doesn't seem to feel a single thing about it. I never, ever saw this coming. I was so sure of our love and our future. Now I'm sitting here in the wreckage of my life with a baby who depends on me for everything. And I am completely lost. How do you even begin to process this? How do you go from being a happy, loving family to a single mother in the span of a single conversation? Any advice on just how to survive this first night would be appreciated.